Hi guys, Steve Woolridge, Chief Instructor of Krav Maga here in Kansas City. I'm here with Alan and Vickie Penny. We're going to talk to you guys a little bit about the fighter's diet that I'm coming out with an ebook pretty soon here, and I want to give you a little perspective from one, that people that train here and then people that don't train here. So Alan's a member here and trains with us quite a bit as far as fitness class, self-defense class. Vickie does not yet. We're still trying to apply peer pressure to her to get her to train, but we want to give you guys an idea of the success that you guys can have with a diet even without doing the things that we do. Some people say, well, you got to come in, you work out 5 times a day like a maniac, and that's the only way you can do it. No, not true, and Vickie will tell you about that. So you can see that it's easier to do than what you might think. We sat down, let's see, middle of August, and towards the end of August this year. Okay, this is now December 15th of 2011, and let's see, that's 4 months basically, 16, 17 weeks. You're down how many pounds?
I'm down 38.
38 pounds.
40.
Give me some knuckle on that. That's awesome. Okay, and you're a trained cage fighter.
No.
No? Okay.
No. Not yet. I might break out into one any
soon,
day.
pretty soon, yeah. Alan, you're down how many?
25.
25. So Vickie's still whomping you a little bit,
yes.
But 25 pounds now in a very short period of time. So 38 pounds is pretty incredible. What kind of exercise are you doing, first of all?
I'm mainly walking. I walk almost every day. I walked home from school a couple of times, which is over 5 miles.
Okay.
So it takes me about an hour, 15 minutes to get home.
Okay.
But other than that, it's about it.
Okay, so nothing super strenuous,
no.
Nothing crazy. The most interesting thing that I try and tell people that nobody ever believes me until they do this diet, and I almost hate to call it a diet because it's not, diet's kind of synonymous with starving.
I'm kind of thinking of it as a lifestyle.
A lifestyle, good, yeah, absolutely. It's nutrition. And the biggest problem that people have when they first start on this diet is that they can't eat all the food that I tell them to eat. Is that true?
Yeah.
It's very difficult. So how many times do you ever run into somebody that's doing a diet and they go, oh, I'm starving constantly. Were you starving?
Nope, not at all.
Okay. The things that you do have to deal with, and I'm sure that other people will agree with this, is that have tried to diet and do things, is that you do have the carb cravings. When you first, and not necessarily just carbs. When I talk about carbs, I'm talking about processed sugar and starchy foods like that, but not fruit and vegetables. Chips,
things like the chips,
cookies,
bread, cake, pies.
Yeah.
The first week I was following this, I had the weirdest dream I think I've ever had. It was like one of those dreams like you don't know you're dreaming. You get up. I went in to the office and went to my cubicle where I'm at, and I turned the corner and it was piled high with cakes and muffins with the sugar crystals on it, and rolls and all this heaping mounds of it. It was spilling off onto the floor, and I woke up and I was like,
oh, it's a dream.
Oh man.
Yeah. So what'll happen is it will chase you down. One of the most interesting things about eating that way is that, and I try and tell people this all the time, and now you guys believe me from doing it too. Is,
and I thought you were crazy when we first talked to you.
I know. Everybody thinks I'm crazy though. So, and there's a method to my madness, is that the more you eat junk food or food that's not good for you nutrition-wise, the more you crave it. The more you eat healthy, the more you crave healthy foods. Yeah? Which is pretty interesting, isn't it? So I do empathize. I know it is difficult, and I do empathize with people that they say, well, it's really hard to stop eating those things. Yes, it is. But it comes down to a point, and I know we talked about this before with Rob Reese that we did an interview with previously. Rob was down, I think 95 pounds in 16 months or 17 months, is that the biggest thing is you have to make a decision and then stick to it. Yeah?
Yeah. I had a lot of trouble struggling with the carbs the first 4 to 6 weeks. And then I made a decision that I could try none for 3 weeks. I kind of gave myself a limitation, so it didn't feel like forever.
So short time frames.
So I gave myself a short time frame, and by the end of the 3 weeks, I wasn't craving sweets anymore.
That's a good thing, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd come home from work, and I'd be really hungry, and in the afternoon, and I'd eat. Whatever snack foods I could find, especially animal crackers, one of my favorites.
Okay.
But finally, I, quit cold turkey.
Yeah.
And it's made quite a difference because at school there's a lot of hazards. They're always bringing treats for treat days and things like that. And now I can go
Vickie
into
works at a school.
a treat day. I mean, certain things have changed in my body. Like my sense of smell is very different and more acute.
Very heightened, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if I go into where the treat day is and most of it's sugar, it's overwhelming. The smell of the sugar is overwhelming, and it actually is repelling me.
Good.
I can't deal with it.
Now, if I tried to explain that to you when you came in August, you thought I was nuts, right?
Well, you said later things would taste too sweet, and that's been true too.
Even fruit, you get to the point where you don't want as much. So your body adjusts to that.
Another thing in line with what she's talking about, this past week, on Friday, there was a lady at the office that had her 10-year anniversary. So they had people come in and they give her a little certificate and everything, and of course they had cake there. So I'm like, oh well, I got to be sociable, and so I got a piece of the cake. And it was just I made sure it was a really small square. And I cut off the top and didn't eat any of the frosting and just ate the cake part. And I got sick later in the afternoon and had intestinal difficulties. So I was like, I'm developing an aversion to it.
Yeah. What's funny that I try and tell people, do this. If you eat clean, you'll see this too, especially for staying on it for a while. If you eat clean like this for 3 to 4 months, and then people go, well, I'll still want this, and I'll still want this. I go, okay, after 3 or 4 months of eating clean, be strict with it and eat clean, go back and eat a big thing of ice cream, or two big pieces of pizza, or cake, or this or that, whatever it is, and I guarantee you will feel sick. You won't feel good. And sure enough, that's what happens. People tell me that, well, I ate 2 pancakes and fell asleep. I felt nauseous. So there's something to that if something makes you feel that way, it's generally not good for you. The thing is that humans, we're omnivores, so our digestive system is very advanced, so that we can process anything, but that doesn't mean it's optimal for you. One of the things I was talking with Alan about probably about a month ago is that I asked him, I said, have you guys noticed that you have more energy?
Yes, we've been waking up at 4:15 in the morning a lot, and I've never been a morning person.
That's awesome.
I'm ready to go.
Well, that's one of the things that cracks me up. People go, well, what am I supposed to do with all this extra energy? I don't know. Go have fun.
That's what I was saying. I'm going to break out into a martial arts fighter any day now because I have too much energy.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I haven't had this level of energy for 20 years or so.
That's awesome. That is awesome. What's a good thing, too, is that your body, when we eat this way, too, it doesn't spend a lot of time digesting, and it doesn't, it's not difficult to digest the food, so it doesn't take away from things. One of the things that we also talk about when we first start doing this, and I don't know how much, I haven't got to see you since we first sat down and talked, really. Member party?
Yes.
Was then. That was October, so I got to see you once since that time. And Alan, I've seen him, gradually going through. One of the hardest things for people to do, and I tell them this when we first sit down, is you have to have the foods around you that you are supposed to eat when you're hungry, or you'll eat anything. So what did you have as far as, how did you battle that? How did you prepare, or how did you handle those things?
Having food around.
Did you have snacks, or?
We have snacks like nuts, olives, some of the cheeses.
Okay, the hard cheeses. Yeah.
I'll have a hard cheese snack. That's the thing if I need a snack. I find I often don't. And I find also that if I wait and listen to my body more, and I wait till I really feel hungry, then I want, the foods that are healthy.
And it's interesting too that, and you try and tell people this, is that at a certain point you'll crave certain foods because they have certain nutrients in them that your body wants at that time. That's a good thing, not just eating just because you're bored or you have a sugar craving or...
Yeah, and finding out those differences if you're bored, or often I find out if I'm craving things, it may not be because I need the carbohydrate, it's because I need water, which I didn't realize before.
So that you
thought
I'll
try drinking some
too,
water before, I'll go snack on something. Or I might be tired. And sometimes that masks itself as hunger.
True.
I'm not sure how, but it's one of the other discoveries I've made.
We have a lot of guys that I train, police officers, firefighters, guys that are paramedics that work night shifts, that work from, let's say, 11 at night till 10 in the morning or 11 in the morning, that, one, their circadian rhythms are off, their sleeping rhythms are off, and two, that in order to stay awake, their body craves sugar. So it's not unusual for those guys, if they don't watch what they're doing, to watch their body fat percentage is almost double, because all they want to eat is junk food. They don't eat normal times. They don't sleep well, if at all, and sometimes, but that is much more difficult that way.
The proverbial donuts.
The donuts, yes,
Well,
definitely
and
with
that's the
those
other
guys.
thing he's noticed the difference too with is, like if you go to a festival or pass a fast food place, it used to smell different to me. Now, like I used to love funnel cakes. That'll give you an example. I go past the funnel cake stand and what I smell is oil, and it's awful. It used to be I'd smell sweet and go for the funnel cake.
It smells so good, yeah.
Or donuts is the same way. You go past the donut place and
you can smell the chemicals.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah. It's interesting. We tell people all the time, and
or Burger King, or and I can tell if a restaurant's good by the way it smells outside.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and I never did that before.
Heightened sense of smell. Your taste is probably better. One of the things that is very difficult for people when we eat this way, as far as eating clean, is that people will think that they can't, that the food won't taste good, that they have to eat bland food. And we talked about, and I do this all the time for myself, is I season things quite a bit. That's one of the things that you can add to food that will not add any calories or the sugar, well, as long as you don't put sugar in or brown sugar, those types of things. But seasoning food, what were some of the things that you did for meat, let's say, to change? Or what types of meat were you eating?
We eat a lot of beef, chicken, salmon, tuna, that kind of thing.
And
lunch most days is tuna for you.
Yeah, I like tuna a lot.
Yeah.
And I'll season it with a little pickle and a little bit of light mayo.
Okay.
It's not really, the full mayo, it's a light.
You should tell about your recipe for the sweet potatoes at Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, and so I cook sweet potatoes.
I heard, yeah.
And put in them pecans and dried cranberries, and then I used a little bit of, was like a half a cup of sugar-free syrup.
Absolutely.
No marshmallows, no
and I
brown
bet it was
sugar.
really sweet.
Yeah.
and there was the cayenne pepper.
People liked it. Cayenne pepper.
Cayenne pepper with it, huh?
Yeah.
That sounds
sweet.
good.
It made it a really
a little spicy
flavor.
on top.
I liked it quite a bit.
I'm going to try that. Now, Alan brought in for me, what was that? Tuesday night?
Yeah. Or Monday night.
Monday night brought in the bread that was made from the almond flour that you had. That was really good. So it was almond flour, some eggs,
a little bit of lemon juice,
olive oil, maybe. Okay, that's a great thing, and it looks like almost like banana bread.
It tastes good.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can make things that are really good, because we talked about having, one of the things that I do is I don't really eat a lot of chicken because the protein is kind of weak compared to anything else like a beef or a fish. But one thing I do like is, what I liked before when I was a kid too, is fried chicken. And what I would use is pecan flour and some egg, bread the chicken that way, and then fry it in olive oil, and you have a really good, healthy meal. It is, yeah. It's almost sweet from the pecans too. So there's a lot of things that you can do that people think, well, I'm just going to eat chicken breast and a piece of broccoli, and it doesn't have to be super bland that way. You can make really good meals, healthy,
I've been experimenting
tasty.
with my scrambled eggs, so I've been putting some hard cheese in them, some bacon bits, and some crumbled pecans, or sunflower seeds and basil. So that's
good.
a nice combination too. So
Anything with, well, yeah, you get more creative, but you can take the same food then and make it taste, well, I don't know, 10, 12 different ways. One of the things that I always tell people too is make sure when you're having food, some people get into a groove. I'll tend to do this is I'll eat the same food every day for a couple of weeks straight, just get into a habit. I eat to live, I don't live to eat. So, but one of the things that we definitely want to do is make sure that we mix up the foods that we have, make sure digestive enzymes stronger, and you don't get bored with the food, and it's easier to stay on that type of diet that way as well. I'm trying to think of any other questions I have for you.
I do try to balance.
Water,
that
we talked about.
You know, and try to have at least one carb with each meal. One carb, something that has some of the fat, and then the protein. And that seems to be burning like crazy. That way.
Do you ever notice that when you're eating, sometimes you're warm? That your metabolism is kicking and doing those things. So we kept a pretty good ratio on there, so you're not dying or starving for the carbohydrates. I mean, it was a good amount.
Once you get past that initial period of I had these weird
withdrawals
things where I'd be like, I'm hungry, but wait, I'm not hungry. I'm hungry for something. What am I hungry for? Oh yeah, the carbohydrate.
The sugar.
You kind of have to let that go.
Well, here's the other thing that I've discovered, and I did an experiment one time just to see. You know, when I eat an egg in the morning, I'm not hungry till lunch. But if I eat like a toaster waffle, I'm hungry about 10 o'clock. It doesn't stay with you the same way.
No.
And then I'm craving something.
Exactly, and then you need something else. You get an insulin spike, and there's not enough nutrients in the food to make you satisfied. There's no satiation with it. So almost every day for me, for breakfast, I would do about a half pound of bacon, and then I fry up eggs in the bacon grease. And then I'm not hungry for a while, which is, I mean, that's it's very nutrient dense from there. What, breakfast-wise, eggs, pretty much?
I do
a little bit of fruit?
Eggs, fruit.
Lunchtime, salads?
Not too many salads. I take raw vegetables, different combinations. Depends what strikes my fancy. Sometimes it's pepper strips or a mixture of things, like green pepper strips, red pepper strips, raw broccoli, carrots, celery. It just depends.
Keep
snap
mixing it up.
peas sometimes, not too often.
Yeah, good.
But I just keep mixing it up, and I have different vegetables.
And then good big dinners, bigger dinners?
Actually, our dinners are about the same size as lunch.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes on a light day, we'll eat less dinner. Like that was one of the interesting things about your diet that I've never seen in other diets is you eat a different amount of calories on different days.
Alternating, and we alternate every day.
Use some days like heavier days, like the days I'm doing fitness class, I'll try to eat a bigger lunch, and then days I'm not doing fitness class, I'll just eat something, just something really light, like maybe some beef jerky or something like that for lunch.
Yeah, you can space it out a little bit more. Definitely, that's one of the reasons why we do that is your body loves homeostasis. It loves to be the same. And if you notice too, I noticed you brought your charts of your weight too, is that there weren't huge losses, but it was consistent.
Yeah, I lost about 2 pounds, 2.1 per week.
Okay. Constantly.
And there was a huge drop after I was finally able to stop the sugars.
Absolutely.
Until then, it just sort of struggled back and forth, and I drop 1 or 2 maybe a week, maybe. But then after I did that, it's been like, whoa, elevator going down.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that we definitely try and do. Once we get the weight moving, you have to keep it moving. And I know, Alan, we talked about that before, is you kind of stalled out a little bit, go back on. One of the nice things about this is, even if you screw up bad and you go, well, I had one day where I did this and this and this, and I ate a half bag of chips, or had a bowl of Lucky Charms or whatever, is that the next day you're only one meal away basically from getting back on to what you're supposed to be, and you'll get back to normal and do those things. Now, you can't do that every day. People doing, that's why I tell guys, until you're at a really high level of leanness, cheat days will just send you backwards. And you found that from, I bet you weren't eating a lot of sugar, you're just eating little bits, and you noticed your weight wouldn't move that much. Once we cut those things, and it's how your body will process the foods, and how it will absorb things, nutrient-wise, and it really helps, that's for sure. The water, how much water you think you're drinking a day now?
Oh gosh, I'd say maybe 5 or 6, like water bottles. Maybe.
Okay. We could probably still do a little bit more, but more than you were doing before, yeah?
Quite a bit more,
yeah. One of the things, especially that's very important for women, is that if you don't drink enough water, you retain water. And that's where you get the puffy feeling and the bloating and those kinds of things, which are not real fun. Yeah. You also, if you do not drink enough water, you don't burn enough fat, which is very important. Not a lot of people know that. So, very good things to have. Staying hydrated makes you feel better, makes you sleep better. I know a lot of people will come in and they, oh, my low back's really sore. I go, where? And they point at their kidneys. And you go, you're dehydrated. So drink some water. If you notice too, we really increased your protein content from what you had before.
Oh yeah, I'm eating protein at every meal, where before it was just dinner.
Well, it's one of the things that's scary to me is that, and that's why I think why obesity is so rampant in the United States right now. From what we have in our diet, is most women. I would say, I'll even ask you, compared to what you're eating now, what would you say a percentage would be that you were eating before protein compared to what you're eating now?
Oh gosh, maybe 10%, maybe.
Okay, it's huge. Most women I see, they get 30 grams of protein a day or less, and people will tell you, oh, that's all you need. Not true.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think, the way people have talked about meats and things in the past really is a problem, because when people hear what I'm doing, they go, oh, but red meat isn't good for you. That's the first thing they say to me. And yet, my cholesterol and everything right now is better than it's ever been. I mean,
amazing!
My triglycerides are down at 47.
And you're eating a very high protein diet.
So how am I getting this bad fat?
From the magic bad fat fairies? I don't know.
So I'm not exactly sure why that's been preached so much.
I don't know either. People talk about it's voodoo. It's there's, and I always say this: there's a tremendous amount of information out there. There's a tremendous amount of misinformation out there. A lot of people will say things that there's nothing behind it. One of the things that I do before,
as I'm finding out,
by yourself, testing it. It's a scientific method, testing.
In fact, I've been looking at some of the low-fat things. They're actually higher in sugar, and I have to pay. I have to pay, attention to these things because I'm also a type 2 diabetic, and so I have to pay attention to what's really in packages. And low-fat diets didn't work for me, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was actually getting more sugar and a bigger load of carbohydrates.
You should talk about your measurements you've been taking in the morning.
Oh, I have what's called morning syndrome, and the doctors have said there's no cure for it. It's just some people genetically are.
Doctors know everything.
To this?
You might explain what morning syndrome
morning
is.
Syndrome is high blood sugar in the morning, usually 150 or better.
Okay.
And then as you take your medicine, it goes back into the normal range.
Okay.
Well, on this diet, it has dropped into the normal range. 100, 101, some mornings 86. And I'm just incredulous. It's like,
It's
how did that happen?
though.
For 5 years, I was never able to get near that range.
Huh. It's pretty amazing.
What was that lowest number you were showing me the other day? And you
I
said
had a 79 one morning. I was like, whoa.
Almost pass out range.
So yeah, so certainly we don't want to get it too low, but
No.
to have it where it's stabilized, now it's in normal ranges.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, amazing. And we just kind of throw stuff in there. We just make stuff up, and that's what.
I mean,
it's so funny. Now you know.
This is
too.
actual measurement on a meter.
Yeah.
This isn't some doctor blabbing about. Oh, calories in is the same as calories
And that's
out, and
been
all
huge.
calories are the same. They were preaching that the other day, and I've been seeing how, you can't tell me that a 400 calories of Twinkie is the same as 400 calories of beef.
Yeah.
No way. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. But people will tell you that because it sounds good. It's sophomoric rhetoric. It's sound good things that they don't really know and they haven't tested. One of the things that and even with training, and as Alan knows in here, I never have anybody do anything that I can't do, and I'll demonstrate it. I never give anybody nutrition advice that I don't do or I haven't done. And the best way to do something as far as if you want to learn how something works, test it. Try it, give it an ample period of time, stick to it exactly the way it is, and do it. I've tested, I don't know, probably 9 or 10 different diets, and I know that I felt like crap most of the time when I did them until I eat this way. And I train all day long, all day. It's a little different from what you do, but still, we want you should feel good every day anyway, regardless of whether you fight
really good.
or not.
Yeah. I felt really good on this.
That's great with your blood sugar levels. That's tremendous. Did you tell
That's
the doctor about that?
For me, well, he'll know because I'll have a checkup soon, and I'm sure my A1C level is going to be right there.
Triglycerides are down, everything's down.
Everything's
So the medication that you were taking?
I'm still on them all. I will have to wait and see what happens in January.
You may have to adjust. You were talking about he may have to adjust.
He may have to adjust some.
Or maybe even hopefully take even off of them. So that would be awesome.
That would be
the
awesome.
less medication you have to take, the better. That's for sure. Absolutely. Great. What would be now after sitting down?
And before I talked to you, and one of the reasons I did was because the doctor was threatening to switch me over to insulin. The next step.
No way.
I thought, I've got to do something. So Alan said, why don't you come talk to Steve?
Now,
I said, no, I put him off for a couple weeks. And finally came. I'm glad I did.
So after looking at this, and when you first sat down with me and you thought I was bananas.
In a couple of places, yeah.
In a couple places. So what would you tell somebody that is looking at doing this kind of diet? What would you tell them from your experience?
Try it and see how you feel. After about 3 weeks, give it a try for a period of time.
Any advice for them while they're doing it? Things that you struggled with that you would say, hey, watch out for this, or I would try this, or I'd do this more, or this less?
One of the interesting things I saw was that it makes shopping more difficult. And you don't realize how heavy carbohydrate the American diet is.
Based, yes.
You go in the grocery store and you think, at least I do. In my mind, I'm going to buy this and this, and look for some good proteins and blah blah blah. And you go in, and row after row after row is all this sugars and just crap. And even stores like you might think Whole Foods, where I found the almond flour, I had to look far and wide in the store, and it's, you know, box after box of all this granola stuff, you know, with all this sugar, and finally I stumble on this nut section, and then there's this almond flour.
And that's in a
And there's one
health food store.
Oh yeah.
Or healthy food store, in one aisle of that health food. And if you notice too, we always talk about shopping on the outsides of the store. If you notice where all the meat and vegetables are on the outsides, what's all on the inside of the store?
All of the canned goods and the processed things. And the
Flour,
chips
sugar, chips, cereal, breads, rice. Yeah, absolutely. Well, awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming in. I'm glad you're having success with this. We're going to keep going.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or do you want to be unhealthy?
No.
No? Okay. You're tired of being unhealthy?
Yeah.
Good.
And I'd say the other thing is it's your health. So don't be afraid to say no. For a while that was really hard for me. You know, because eating is such a social thing. But it can be as easy as saying, oh, that looks really good, but I'm not hungry right now. And
That's
that
simple,
seems
isn't it?
to work pretty well.
Yeah. So people won't force feed you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're always wanting to be there.
The other thing you can do is go ahead and take the cake, and when no one's looking, just throw it in the trash. That's what I do.
And then come back and go, oh, man, I'm full. Yeah, that was awesome. And then wait here. So Alan was telling me some of the women came up to you later and they go, are you feeling okay?
Yeah,
you look like you've lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, you've lost a lot of weight lately. Are you sick? You know, like I had cancer or something. No, I feel perfectly fine.
Yeah. That's great. Awesome.
I can now float upstairs instead of huff.
It's even better. So
that feels good.
Yeah. We always talk about quality of life, especially as we get older. And, you know, I'm feeling that too, is that quality of life, you want to stay. That's why I train hard. I want to stay healthy so I can enjoy things rather than not.
And I want to be able to continue to hike in the mountains and things like that. It's kind of like we like to do on vacation. I don't want to lose that too soon.
Absolutely. No, not till I'm about 90.
Yeah.
Right around there. I'll slow down when I'm 90, 99.
Then we'll get some new tech that our son has invented. And we'll keep going.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Okay. We'll see you guys soon. The book should be out pretty soon, and hopefully you guys will enjoy what we brought you here. And don't be afraid to try something new and different, even though you think maybe I'm a little crazy. So we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.